Let's get some sweet chili heat up in here. It kind of feels like I'm preparing to taste the bomb, because what we have on our hands over here is spicy. This is a very spicy topic, and before we get into it, I want to say Cole Caufield to me is an elite NHL prospect. I think this guy has the potential to be a 40-45 goal scorer in the NHL who puts up a boatload of points and who leads the Montreal Canadiens in points several years in his prime if things go right. That's what I believe the ceiling is for Caufield. But in today's video, we're going over an article in HabsEyesOnThePrize.com that I think you really need to give your attention to. It's written over here by David St. Louis, and it talks about how Cole Caufield's development is unlikely to be completed during his tenure with the Wisconsin Badgers. That's why I've kind of labeled this video the way we have, as to whether or not Cole Caufield has not been developing to the best of his ability with the Wisconsin Badgers hockey team. And despite the fact that he's so good, and he has been very good at producing points, etc. at the NCAA level, the idea that this article presents is that his quote-unquote not all too fulfilling development path isn't even really his fault. So before we get into that, I want to thank all of you who in the last video talked to me in the comments about what your favorite chocolates and or candies were. We got some very good responses. Love seeing those over here. Watch this video to the end to see what you can comment next to potentially be featured in the next Habs video. But with that being said, let's get underway and talk about Cole Caufield. Now, this article written by St. Louis on HabsEyesOnThePrize.com starts off by talking about how the prospects game is growing in the NCAA, but he's not in the ideal situation to work on his weaknesses. This article was published just about a week ago, and you can go check it out in the description below. The article talks about Nick Suzuki, and it talks about how back at the start of the 2018-19 season, the Canadiens sent Nick Suzuki back to the Owen Sound attack of the OHL with a boatload of stuff that they told him to improve on. The article highlights that a big concern over for Nick Suzuki's game was his ability to continue making plays with speed, how he shouldn't fall into his old tropes, downshifting to create space and survey his options before overwhelming his defenders with skill. And then, long story short, as the OHL season progressed, Suzuki went from one team to the other. He was hounded on harder as a member of the Guelph Storm, and he had to adapt. He learned how to play defensive hockey a little bit better. He learned how to make decisions in a faster setting than before, and he actually developed some very good NHL translatable qualities. The focus then shifts to Cole Caufield, the 2019 first-round pick, 15th overall in the draft, and the article says that from watching the early games of the Badgers, Caufield has only made slight progress in the development of crucial NHL skills, and mostly due to his environment, achieving significant growth in these other aspects could prove difficult. Why? Well, here's why. Because the Wisconsin Badgers, for the most part, were a bad hockey team last year. They were the worst in the Big Ten Conference, and they somewhat got worse with the off-season losses they had. K'Andre Miller, Alex Turcotte, these guys all left. Dylan Holloway isn't playing for the team right now. He's suiting up for the World Juniors with Team Canada. And because this team got weaker than it was last season, even though it was already the worst team in the Big Ten last season, Cole Caufield decided from the start that he was going to carry the offense as best as he could. 10 games have passed and he's already fired 93 times at the net. That's an increase of 2.2 shots per game over last year. He's doing everything he can to go out there, shoot the puck, try to get it to the net, and for the most part, it's putting him in a weird spot when it comes to his development. This article calls out this ability, and it says that, hey, even though it's Cole Caufield taking these shots, can you still define these shots from everywhere all across the ice as low danger? Well, sure you can. Out of Cole Caufield's 93 shot attempts, half of them came from outside the slot, and only one of them found the net. And the one that found the net was the one that ended up going in. It was that very nice snipe from the blue line as he whipped it over, and the article says that, hey, you're not going to expect that to go in every single time. It's just, it's nice to see it go in when it does. But for half of his shot attempts that are coming outside the slot, none of them, except for that one shot from the blue line that went in, are actually even hitting the net. Now, that's not Caufield's fault. It's difficult to find the net consistently from low-danger areas. But the fact that Caufield is even in this position where he's forced to do that is indeed the problem that this article is bringing up. Overshooting has its downsides, both in the short and long term. Caufield is training his mind to solve every offensive situation with his release. When the puck gets to him in the corner of the offensive zone and defenders jump to pressure him, better try to sneak one in between the goalie's leg and the post. The defense has pushed him to the top of the zone, maybe the puck could float in from the middle of the blue line. There then is an analysis onto how exactly low-danger shot attempts don't really do much, and it's why they're even called low-danger shot attempts. It then notes to improve that Caufield could probably improve the overall situation of things by holding onto the puck a little bit more, opening up a little bit more space, and relying on his own teammates to open themselves up and find some new opportunities. And for the most part, Caufield actually has done a whole bunch when it comes to the playmaking side of things. The problem just comes with the fact that Caufield is in a position where he feels like he needs to be that guy who, in desperate measures, always just throws the puck to the net. It then talks about what Caufield could do away from the puck, and this point is something that I actually hadn't considered at all. It starts out by talking about how in 2018-19 with the US NTDP, playing with guys like Jack Hughes and Trevor Zegras, Cole Caufield was able to practice one of his best abilities: his offensive timing away from the puck. Finding space when the other guys are cycling it down low. Trudging along the ice, finding some open space for a scoring chance. Being in a position to set himself up for opportunities. This is something that he was able to do when Jack Hughes and Trevor Zegras were doing their thing. They'd find Caufield, who had found some open space, and he'd put it in the back of the net, no questions asked. But with Wisconsin, he can't do that. With the Badgers, Caufield is either the guy who has the puck trying to do stuff, or he's just back-checking because the teammates turn it over and they have to go back on the other side. This exceptional talent of Caufield's to find space has been dormant for the past year. We only see glimpses of it due to Caufield's and Wisconsin's difficulty to establish offensive zone presence. He hasn't been paired with playmakers capable of locating him in an instant when he pops open, or even better, of anticipating where and how he will pop open, which could partly explain why Caufield is keeping or shooting most pucks he gets. In Wisconsin, Caufield is now the playmaker. The puck is on his stick more often than not. But the downside of this is that Caufield is not working on his offensive anticipation. All the stuff that made him a great player when Jack Hughes was feeding him the puck is not really being explored anymore because, hey, his guys aren't doing the same things that Jack Hughes could. And all the stuff that we've spoken about, this is only halfway through the article, so I'll leave you the link in the description to go ahead and read it yourself. They go over breakout tendencies and breakout skills, also puck protection skills and defensive zone play. It was noted earlier on Twitter by Mitch Brown that Caufield's defense has actually improved quite a lot. And dude, we already spoke about this, but he actually has been doing a whole bunch of stuff very nicely. Back-checking hard, getting involved with the defensive play, trying to break up cycles, and trying to pickpocket guys. Cole Caufield is trying his best, and it's actually paying off. And all in all, there are still so many good things to look forward to when it comes to Cole Caufield's game, and I'm pretty sure that for the World Juniors, where we see Team USA at it again, he's going to be reunited with these Zegrases and these Turcottes and all these other great players from the NTDP's past. So I just personally hope that this tournament with Cole Caufield is going to see him explode. This is going to be the opportunity to reignite some of those skills that he had kind of put to rest over the past year and a half, where he's not really the guy who's opening himself up for space a lot more. Instead, he's the guy who's trying to force the other players on his team to open themselves up a little bit more. And hey, Caufield still is doing a very successful job at doing so. I mean, he's a point-per-game player. If you go over to the numbers right now, even though the Wisconsin Badgers had their most recent 2 games actually canceled, they still have 10 games played, and Caufield is over here with 12 points. 6 goals, 6 assists. That's not bad. He's over a point per game. He has increased his overall production compared to last year. He's on a better point per game pace, and he's on a better goal and an assist per game pace. So, yeah, he's doing a lot of good this season. It's just unfortunate because taking a look at how he was able to play before, especially in the context of what he needs to improve on to become an NHL caliber talent, a lot of what he needs to improve on hasn't really been able to be expressed. And it's why I said at the beginning, even though this is a spicy topic, and even though you can make this argument, it's really not Caufield's fault. It's just a matter of the fact that he plays on a really bad team that can't really keep up in the same way that the Hugheses and the Turcottes and the Cam Yorks and the Boldies and the Zegrases could back in 2019. And that team was the team that allowed him to develop these skills. So, at the end of the day, Talk to me in the comments about Cole Caufield and all this stuff. I know it's a crazy topic, but does this make sense? Does it make sense that Caufield being the best player on his team and being forced to be the best player on his team is, in a way, hurting some of the developments that he could be having? Because we've said it this entire time, when Caufield is playing with Suzuki, these problems that he had, hey, they're not probably going to happen anymore. He's going to have the opportunity to actually start creating offense away from the puck, and that's something he hasn't really been allowed to do pretty much over the past few months. So with that, we conclude today's video. If you want to be featured in the next Canadiens video, comment down below CM Punk. The reason I'm saying that is because back when Caufield was 13 years old, he played for the Team Illinois 13U AAA squad, and Chicago, Illinois, of course, is the hometown of CM Punk, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Talk to me in the comments about that, as well as Cole Caufield in this situation. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99, and bye.